I want to separate out partisanship from patriotism. Registering to vote is about being a patriot. It's about wanting to be a part of civic power, having your voice heard. And that's not a partisan decision. What you do once you're in the voting booth may be partisan, but the act of becoming part of America's electorate should not be a partisan issue. And unfortunately, throughout our history, it has become something that is used for politicians to select their voters as opposed to allowing voters to elect and select their leaders.
How has that become either an obstacle or perhaps arsenal?
It has become an obstacle because in recent years, and certainly since 2013, with the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, with the Shelby decision, we have seen states feel free to discriminate again. What the Voting Rights Act did was say you cannot discriminate based on race when it comes to the right to vote. And unfortunately, we've seen state after state take up the call to make it harder for people of color to vote, to make it harder for poor people to vote, to make it harder for young people to vote. And as long as we are watching this erosion of our voting rights, we are also watching in real time the erosion of our democracy.
That may have been at the core of a movement or a moment that happened during the address to the Joint Congress earlier this week. I mean, we know that the late Congressman John Lewis, who was known as the conscience of Congress, who was just 25 years old, yes, when he led the march of about 600 people from Selma to Montgomery to help promote voting rights for African Americans largely. He was attacked by state troopers, and then and throughout, he has always said good trouble is necessary to promote and fight for democracy. How would you, define the fights for equality, democracy today, the need for good trouble?
So let's talk about what democracy is. Democracy is about the ability to be a part of how society works. And what we are watching happen right now, led by MAGA Republicans, led by Donald Trump, but with complicity from other Republicans, is this tearing apart of the fabric of who we are as people. When veterans are being told that you're going to lose your benefits, when the disabled are being told we will no longer protect you, when what has been referred to as norms, but what are actually laws, are being dismantled or ignored, that's the erosion of democracy. And the fail-safe we have in this country is voting. It is the ability to say, no, we don't like this and we want to come back, and we want to say we want better people making these decisions, we want different decisions. But if you block access to the right to vote, you are blocking access to the voice of the people, and you're telling them to shut up.
And what about the act to speak out? Because yesterday, I spoke to Representative Al Green, who at the start of the president's joint address to Congress, he said he stood up and he was about to leave, but then, the moment moved him. So 10 Democrats voted with Republicans to censure him. At 77 years old, he is a longtime civil rights leader. Is his version of good trouble relevant and respected today?
I think what Representative Green did was say that decorum cannot stand in the way of calling out the decimation of our democracy. And what he did was take responsibility for it. So I want us to be very clear. He not only made that statement during the speech, but he showed up the next day to take accountability. And accountability is what's missing from this president. It's what's missing from this administration. It's what's missing from the members of Congress who are allowing the president of the United States to declare himself king, to give himself a shadow oligarch president, and to dismantle what they put in place. I don't understand the abdication of governance that we are watching happen at the congressional level. And Al Green said, I will not abdicate my responsibility. He also said, I will be held accountable for the choices I make. And I would call on every single American, we have to make the choice to demand better of our government. We have to show up at town hall meetings if they're willing to have them. We have to show up and show everyone that this is our country and we will not cede it to anyone. That's what marching across that bridge was. It was a march demanding that the right to be heard cannot be taken away. If you are a citizen of this country and you are eligible to vote, then you should have the right to do so.